Is everybody, oh, wait, Mr. Barbie.
Are you gonna do pre-agenda?
Huh?
Are you gonna do pre-agenda?
I can't hear you.
Are you gonna do pre-agenda?
Like we always do. Okay.
George Tech.
Brother Paul, you're gonna do the prayer tonight for us, right? Ready? Not right now. No, sir, not now, but you're gonna do it tonight for us?
Oh, yeah.
Closer to this mic. Okay, approval of the agenda? Okay, you will?
Thank you.
You need something, Mr. Barbie?
Yes, I'll do it, sir.
Mark's already said he'd do it. I thought you needed something.
No, I'll
Okay.
just say hi.
Okay. Good evening there, Mr. Barbie. Recognition of special guests. I think we got a lot of special guests out there. I appreciate our veterans for coming, and God bless you. Okay,
Could please at this time have everyone to silence their phones, please.
elections and appointments. I don't think we have any. Adoption of the minutes. Who wants that?
I'll do it.
Linda? Okay. Communication and petitions. I don't think we have any. Committee reports.
I'll do it.
You're going to do the committee reports? Thank you, Ms. Linda. Okay, consent agenda?
I'll do it.
Thank you, Glenn. Do we have any unfinished business? I don't think we do. Okay, y'all ready to get started? Brother Paul?
Our Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you tonight. We thank you so much for your blessings to us. We thank you for the city of Port Wentworth, a city that we love and we worship and we live in. We thank you for the council members and all of those who are here tonight to do the city's business. We pray that you will have your grace and mercy upon all that is said and done here tonight, and that it might be to your honor and glory. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Your Honor, all are present except for Councilmember Mark Stevens. He is joining us by phone on tonight.
Okay. Approval of the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
I get a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes?
I'm sorry. Mr. Jones, were you wanting to add tonight to the agenda?
It's not on here.
Oh, the consent agenda, yes.
It is?
No,
on it.
executive session.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say.
Trying to add to, let us do a short executive session on potential candidates for city employment.
I got it.
Okay, so if you could,
A few minutes.
Mr. Hodges, go ahead and make your motion.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second that, but I thought we was going to add in the executive session with his motion. That's what he was.
With this motion? All in favor?
I second it. Aye.
All in favor? Motion passes?
All right, so if we could just kind of slow our pace a little bit tonight. Remember, I have Councilman Stevens on the phone, and I need to make sure that I hear his vote so that it is recorded.
Oh, I didn't know he was on the phone. Sorry, Shanta.
That's okay. So Councilman Stevens? Aye. Very good. Thank you.
All right. We will recognize our special guests, and once again, thank you all for coming. The elections and appointments, I don't think we have any. Adoption of the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor? Motion passes. All right, communication and petitions. I don't think we have any. Okay, committee reports.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, on tonight, don't you and Councilman Hodges have a special presentation you'd like to make?
We also need to award the thing for
Do what now?
the parade permit.
Okay.
We
So when are we gonna do that? Right now?
Right now?
On 8?
We could.
Okay.
You want to do that right now, Mr. Hodges?
That's up to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do. You're the boss.
You want to give it us? This is your. Oh, okay. I'm gonna come down here with you.
Jim, if your group would come forward.
City of Port Wentworth, would like to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to honor our veterans and honor the men and women who's given their lives for this country, this city, and each of us. And we thank you very much, and God bless y'all for the things you've done and things you do for this country. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
We
much.
appreciate it.
Hey, Lee. Davey, could you take some pictures too, please? Mr. Hodges, would you please stand?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
Speak loud.
Speak louder. I stand to recognize a highly decorated combat veteran, Lieutenant Colonel Phil Jones. Will all stand with me, please? Lieutenant Colonel Phil Jones retired, was a master Army aviator, served 2 tours in Vietnam with over 2,000 hours flying a helicopter. His decorations were the Legion of Merit, 2 Distinguished Flying Crosses, the Bronze Star. He was the recipient of 2 Purple Hearts, 4 Meritorious Service Medals, 24 Air Medals. That's a lot of combat. Mr. Mayor, for those who fought for it, freedom is a flavor the protected will never know. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Also, this is a Service Appreciation Award to you, Mr. Lieutenant Colonel Waverly Field Jones, USA, retired, with great recognition and appreciation for your years of loyal and dedicated service to the United States Army and the mission of the 173rd Assault Helicopter Company in Vietnam. Thank you for your sacrifice, Phil.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the city, we want to present this to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for all you do. And that's for all of y'all. All you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Phil. God bless you. Okay, committee reports.
At this time, we would like to dispense of the reading of the minutes. And before I call for a motion, I'd like to hear from Major Lee Sherrod.
Yes, ma'am. As all of y'all know, Major Lee Sherrod, Port Wentworth Police Department, of course. We have Sergeant Gonzalez and Sergeant McMurray. If y'all walk up here, please. While they're walking up here, as everybody knows and all the council knows, and that y'all are extremely supportive for us, but there's other law enforcement agencies across the nation right now that aren't getting the support and aren't getting the recognition that we here get.
There's a young lady on October 2nd that was in an incident on 95 with 7 other vehicles. And of course, we get a call up there. Everybody knows how traffic is around rush hour traffic getting off of 95 near the 21 area. Sergeant McMurray and Sergeant Gonzalez responded. Not only did they respond to keep them safe and the people off of them, Sergeant Gonzalez was changing tires while Sergeant McMurray was keeping everyone away from the other 6 vehicles that had received damage from some debris or property that fell in the roadway. I never got what that was. The lady was just extremely excited and wanted to express through Facebook and the office that her appreciation for y'all's support for our law enforcement as they're out there doing what they do daily, and how these 2 went above and beyond that she felt for what they done for the city as a, representing them when no one else was out there. And she felt that it was a great representation with these 2 out there and what they were doing, wearing y'all's patch and y'all's badge. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I'd like to ask y'all before we move on, would all the veterans please stand? Vietnam and whatever war you were in. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate everyone. We appreciate y'all coming. I know, see. Thank y'all so much for coming. And thank you guys for doing good police work.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to dispense of the reading of the committee reports and accept them as written.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but I believe we need to take these and separate in order at this time.
Okay.
We've actually, with your consent, to name separate dates for the November and December city council meetings as they fall on holidays. So are the dates been set, Ms. Clerk?
Yes, it's that.
The dates proposed was 3rd Thursday instead of the 4th Thursday. So for November, that will be the 19th, and then for December, that will be the 17th.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So I'd make a motion that we approve the dates for November, December city council meetings as stated by the clerk.
Get a second?
Second.
Mark second.
Mark did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mayor, as always, I know the city of Point has always been big in the mayor's motorcade sponsored by GMA, and I would make a motion that we continue our support with GMA for the mayor's motorcade.
Get a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. All right, we don't have any unfinished business. New business, item A.
Paul?
No, item A tonight is the employee gift cards.
Oh, the gift card first, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
in you all's packets, it stated what has been submitted for department heads and city staff. On last year, 2019, council approved for department heads to be gifted $150, and all of city staff, regardless of
Okay.
tenure, part-time, full-time, it was for $100. So whatever council wants to proceed with on tonight, please state the dollar amount in your motion.
I say we do the same thing as we did last year.
Amen.
And this is let me see. What is that? Right here.
You want to make that in a motion?
Somebody,
Is
Somebody wanna make a
Councilman
motion?
Stevens going to make the motion
Councilman
for
Stevens make that motion?
150 for the department heads and 100 for every other employee? Is that,
I make the motion that we do the same thing that we did last year, 150 for the department heads and $100 for everybody else.
can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B.
Item B on tonight, Your Honor, is the health insurance premium coverage for full-time employees, and we have Mr. Paul Collins with us from Glenn Davis and Associates.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to present some great news to the city of Port Wentworth. I also want to say thank you for your support over the years and forging some friendships with the city and the city's employees. I don't get to give this kind of information out, especially in this kind of climate, but we're pleased to tell you that your health insurance premiums will remain the same this coming year as they were last year. That's for the medical, the dental, and the vision, as well as the other benefit lines. So that doesn't, I've been doing this for 27 years, and that doesn't happen often. So it was an honor to be able to negotiate this down. There was a slight increase, but we kind of pulled some strings and were able to keep your rates flat for the coming year.
Good deal. Amen.
And with no change in benefits either.
Amen.
There you go.
Are there any questions or?
Well, the question I have is the tobacco usage, because I am seeing that it's on the rise. How will that? I mean, granted, it's going to be flat for 2021, but if it continues to rise, how would that adjust going forward?
Going forward, we would know approximately 90 days prior to the renewal if there's any impact as far as tobacco usage. We don't anticipate any impact on that, however.
Okay, and how does and how does COVID-19 play in this as well, since it is a virus that's pretty much out of control?
Your benefits remain the same. As most carriers have adopted teledoc virtual visits to keep employees and family members out of the doctor's offices. So there's been some adjustments in contracts kind of on the fly during this, and there will continue to be.
Okay.
Just for clarity point, also, we do have 8 new employees. And so when you bring them into this, our premium does look like it goes up, but it is not. It still stays, it's flat. But it will increase our total premiums.
Right.
But it is within what we appropriated in the budget.
Good deal. Anybody else got questions?
Make a motion?
Somebody make a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to,
Make a motion to approve.
Just a
Which-
second, please, we have a choice.
Choice.
That
Yeah.
needs to be made.
A, B, or C.
Oh, okay, you just.
Go over there. All right. Want to tell us about A, B, and C?
A is to approve the coverage at 100% of the health care insurance premium for both tobacco and non-tobacco users for the year 2021, which is what we had done before in the first year. B would be approve at 100% of health care insurance premium for non-tobacco users only, with the tobacco users having to pick up the remainder. And C is approved to cover 100% of the health care insurance premium for non-tobacco users and a percentage of cost for tobacco users. We had done that in the past at 50%. So you can do it all, or you can do a percentage for the tobacco users.
Did we lose any employees over the tobacco?
Well,
Back.
our numbers are not very high in terms of total tobacco users. In fact, I think the data indicated that we had about 8 or so employees that were actually users of tobacco.
And I believe in 2019, there was the option of 100% for
100%, that's
non-tobacco
correct.
and $150 for tobacco users.
Yes,
So that's what you've done in the past.
yeah, that's what you've done in the past.
Yeah, because right now you're talking about 18% that have tested positive for tobacco according to 2019's numbers, and as we know, 2020 hasn't really been done as of yet.
So, motion, A, B, or C?
Well, I'd just like to say that I've never smoked, but I know people have different reasons for smoking, and, you know, that's going to totally be up to y'all.
Currently, sir, currently, which one are we actually in, A, B, or C?
I prefer B because I think
I'm sorry.
Councilman Steve, Councilman Stevens, one moment, I'm sorry. Councilman Barbie had a question on the floor. His question was, is currently for the healthcare plan, which category do we fall under right now, A, B, or C?
Oh, okay.
I believe that's B, where there's a $150 surcharge for a tobacco user.
Month?
That would be C,
That's
according
C,
to our
right, C.
recommendation.
Okay.
That $150 is a month?
That is correct.
Well, it says per pay period here.
Well, that's per pay period, but that would be on a monthly
Okay.
basis. 'Cause most of them, even though you get paid a weekly, it wouldn't be, most of our guys are police officers
I
and
just wanna make
What
firefighters.
am I thinking? All right, y'all. So we're doing C now, or B?
No, we're currently
We're
falling under C.
under
For
C.
the current health plan, we're under C.
Okay.
But now council has before them to vote whether you want to do A, B, or C.
You want to make a motion, or y'all want to talk about it, or?
Needed more time to read up on
I
this.
would assume C would probably be the better
Well-
and fairer option because you want to reward those who are not, who do not use tobacco, and incentivize, hopefully the ones that do tobacco to go that particular route.
In 2018, we did fund it 100% for both. In 2019, then we made that adjustment where the smokers had to pay an extra premium. So it really, we've done both. So it's up to the board to decide, do we want to continue that into the 21 season? So it's fairly simple to make one. I mean, that $150 doesn't, that's 50% option. It can be whatever percentage that you so desire. It doesn't have to be 50%, which is what the $150 is.
The reason why this was placed on the agenda for tonight is because we're getting ready to go into our Employee Services Day. And at Employee Services Day is the time that we're preparing for open enrollment for city staff. And it would be nice to go into open enrollment with staff knowing if council is going to cover 100% of the cost or what the option will be so that people can prepare. For married couples, they may want to opt to go with their spouse's plan if the city's not going to cover the 100% or, kind of make some other decisions for their health care coverage.
Okay. I would recommend that we vote on each plan, and whatever plan gets the most votes, we'll go
No,
with.
we can't do that. That's not a good idea.
That's fair enough to everybody else.
Yeah.
No, what you need to do on that, you can't vote on each and every one because what you need to do is have some time where you can sit down and really talk about this besides looking at it when 5 or 10 minutes are getting because you can't just vote one or the other because then you're going to single out one or the other, and that's not fair to each person. So we just need to have a agreement. So what we need to do, but we also need, sometimes you have to sit down within 5 or 10 minutes and figuring out. And I was trying to read up on it, and now I understand where we're going. And I know most companies are trying to do incentives based on tobacco. I know the company I work for has major incentives for people not using tobacco. But then I also agree with the mayor. I understand there are people in this world who smoke, for reasons of their own. Sometimes it's not always, whether it's medical or whatever. So,
So if we go with C, and then someone does take it upon themselves to quit smoking, can they come out of the 150 and if they go to the
Certainly.
doctor and go through
Yes.
non-smoking and quit? and all?
The 150, and not to interrupt, but the 150 is basically a city's decision.
Right.
Your rates are the same for each employee that Blue Cross bills you for each month.
Okay.
Blue Cross-
Regardless?
Regardless. What the reason for the 150 surcharge was to hopefully cut down claims, which in turn impacts your renewals. So by adopting the 150 surcharge for tobacco users is kind of the reason why we're at a 0% increase this year. Not saying that's a huge impact, but every dollar is accounted for when it comes to this. So my recommendation would be to keep it as you have it for this year, and we'll address it moving forward. And also we'll get those employees who are smokers or tobacco users some information on some cessation plans to hopefully that they can lighten that 150 obligation that they're committing themselves to by smoking or using tobacco.
Mayor, can I say something?
Sure.
And I understand, we all want to be healthy and all, but when we hired these people, we hired them, we didn't care how many kids they had, how many people we was going to have to insure. And if you drink, that's bad on your health too. And it's just my personal opinion. Like I said, I understand the health thing and maybe rewarding people, but we hired those people to come to work for us, and they're doing a good job evidently because they're still here. And I just think if you're going to fit the bill, you need to fit it 100%. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree. I agree. Motion. Anybody else?
So Linwood, are you saying A?
I'll make a motion that we approve 100% of all health benefits,
Smokers and non-smokers.
smokers and non-smokers.
So you're approving A.
Yes.
All right, get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
All right, motion passes. Item C.
Item C is the extension of Sunday alcohol sales in response to the Georgia House Bill 879.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone here to speak for or against?
I believe, Mr. Mayor, that I'm up on the podium, and I need to bring some information to the council's attention tonight. And it's my belief that we really do not have a matter which is ripe for vote tonight. So let me, if I may, with your permission, Mr. Mayor. What we're talking about here are some significant changes to the alcohol legislation in Georgia, and I see Mr. Hitchens here. Not sure whether he was involved with it as much as anyone else, but these are some fairly significant changes. And what I'd like to do is to take a couple of minutes and outline what these changes are, and give you my recommendations about how to proceed going forward. There are basically 5 categories of alcohol regulation affected by this new legislation. The first is centralized permitting. Prior to January 1st of next year, the Georgia Department of Revenue is going to be required to set up a statewide centralized permitting system to streamline alcohol permitting throughout the state. Wholly new system. And my understanding is there will be new regulations coming out before December the 31st. So we don't know exactly how that is going to come across, and they will not know until those regulations are promulgated. But what we do know is that the law requires that the city will be required to use that new statewide application and also renewal process. So that's number one. Number two, Sunday alcohol sales. the legislature has approved for Sunday alcohol sales that the time be backed up from Sunday at 12:30 p.m. back to 11 a.m. on Sundays. And this would authorize the sale of alcoholic beverages both by the pour and by the package on Sundays from 11 until 12 p.m. Now, the difference here is that we have by referendum approved in the past, and Mr. City Manager, correct me if I'm wrong, the 12:30 till 12:30 till the following midnight, that has been approved. So in order to back up to 11 o'clock, if you will, there would be required a separate referendum. However, the statute does allow the council to, before a referendum is called and the citizens vote on it, a resolution can be approved by council to allow pouring retailers here in Port Wentworth to back up to 11 a.m. And I would imagine, since we have an upcoming election next November of 21, the referendum could be placed on the ballot at that point. So between now in 2020 and November of 2021, we could operate simply by referendum. Does everyone understand that? I'm not asking you to vote on that tonight. It's probably a better thing to give it 30 days and allow the the public to digest this a little bit and vote on it in November. Okay, a resolution. Then that will be my recommendation to do so if that's what you want to do. But that will require some discussion on your part. Okay? Any questions on that point? Now, this is one of the biggest changes, Section 3, the home delivery of alcohol. The legislature has now approved that beer, wine, and distilled spirits can be delivered to your door, like a pizza, I suppose. And it would require restaurants and package shops, retailers to set up an account with a particular individual. And you can only deliver to individuals who are 21 years of age, and only delivery boys or girls must be 21 years of age as well, and they must pass a background investigation before they're allowed to deliver. This is for personal use only. You cannot order a bunch of beer, wine, or distilled spirits and then turn around and sell them to someone else. That's not allowed. This particular section is my understanding that it is in place and operative now as of August 3rd of this year. And if the council, after consideration, chooses to do so, it is allowed to opt out of this particular provision. I'm not suggesting that we do that tonight. I think it's preliminary. It needs to be discussed. But that's what the statutes say. So you've got to decide whether you want to develop all sorts of different licenses for restaurants, for delivery, and whether they can operate under their current pour licenses. There's a lot of what-ifs to be discussed in this alcohol legislation, and I'll be honest with you, I've read it 4 times, and I'm not totally sure what it all says yet myself. So, but we need to be very deliberate and move forward with some discussion of that in the next week, 2 months, or whatever. Okay? There are also some changes. Item number 4, some changes in distance requirements. According to this new statute, no person may sell wine or malt beverages within 100 yards of any school building, school grounds, or college campus. And distilled spirits may not be sold within 100 yards of any church building or within 200 yards of any school building, educational building, or college campus. For some reason, churches were not included in the beer and wine distance requirements. We need to really sit down and dig down and drill down into what this actually means, also as it relates to if you allow and do not opt out of the home delivery aspect. Because there may be restaurants right now which may not allow, or maybe we be within the confines of the restrictive distance requirements, who may not be able to deliver packaged alcohol and distilled spirits. We don't know that right now. There's plenty to discuss here. Finally, the last section is tasting events, wine tastings, alcohol tastings, and what have you. Fairly self-evident. They can only last no longer than 4 hours. Only one type of alcoholic beverages can be presented. So I'm not certain whether we need to make any changes to that aspect of it. But this is something that each councilman needs to start studying the statute a little bit. And I'm sure that we're going to need one or more workshops on this to decide, how to go forward. I'm not suggesting that anything be done before the end of the year. We're going to be waiting on Department of Revenue regulations as far as the permitting process is concerned. So we've got a little bit of time to decide.
Your Honor,
So, yeah.
make a motion that we table this.
All right, I get a second.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Item D.
Item D is the governmental pole attachment license agreement by Georgia Power.
If I may, I guess I'm up again. Let me summarize this agreement. There's a series of 3 agreements here. This was negotiated between GMA and ACCG, the county organization statewide, with Georgia Power about how cities should seek permitting and approval for attaching things to Georgia Power electric poles. Very quickly, you need to seek permission before you can attach anything to their poles. They have 45 days, they being Georgia Power, to approve it or deny it. Cameras, I know we have some cameras, traffic cameras up on poles now. We will most likely need to go back to Georgia Power and seek approval of those and get their permission. There is some safety compliance issues. There are insurance issues. There's also a second agreement dealing with wireless facilities. I don't believe that we broadcast wirelessly to the public here. I know Savannah does in certain locales, but if we were able or ever considerate of doing that, we would have to go to Georgia Power and ask their permission and get the approval for the various equipment that would be used. And finally, the one that most important to us right now are banners and seasonal decorations, I guess Christmas decorations and that sort of thing, that are attached to Georgia Power poles. We need to go to Georgia Power and seek their permission each time we do that in advance. And there are forms that they have provided to us in order to do that. So are there any questions? There's a lot of legal lingo here, but that's a summary of what we're talking about.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Sounds like we wouldn't have an option anyway because Georgia Power is pretty much selling. That's what we got to do anyway. So, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the government pole attachment license agreement with Georgia Power.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Item E.
Item E is the site plan review application 7-0976-01-047 for the Effingham Booster Pump.
All right, this public hearing is now open. Anyone here to speak for or against?
Where is this site plan at now?
Sir?
Hodgeville Road.
Sir, if you're going to speak, please step to the mic for me, okay? Thank you.
Right. Any discussion? Anybody want to talk about this? What you know about it?
Simply that it did come and go before the Planning and Zoning Board for review. It's the next to last lot on Hodgeville Road before you go into Effingham County. And it's certainly needed to provide residents a service in Effingham County. And, as I said, it did go before Planning and Zoning Board. It was approved unanimously there
Okay.
with a recommendation to approve by council.
All right.
May I ask something?
And it's not unusual where sometimes these things happen.
That's, may I ask something?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's next to that power plant or something right there? There's something already there, right? It's right next to that.
That particular one's vacant. The power plant's down just a
Not a
little
power
bit
plant,
further.
there's something there.
It's a metering facility.
Metering station already there. So it's on the Effingham side of that metering station?
No, sir, it's in Fort Wentworth. It is in close proximity to that station.
That's a low area there. I see it on the map, yeah.
And
That's real low down in there. That's low, yeah. It floods when it rains right there. Yeah.
One moment, Councilman Stevens. Councilman Hodges is speaking.
That area floods bad right there. Are they gonna build it up? I reckon that's my question.
The engineer that designed this is Thomas and Hutton.
Right,
And so they're the one that put the building plan together, engineered the drawing for the facility.
right.
It's got to meet their engineering guidelines, so they're,
I just know that road drops through.
Yeah.
When you go in there, it is, okay.
All right, anybody else? Mr. Barbie?
Well, I was reading down through it, and I think with the motion, it should be approved with, as long as they meet the conditions that the engineers had pointed out to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Mr. Harvey, have these conditions been met?
Yes, sir.
They have, all of them?
Yes, sir. I spoke with Trent Long today. He could not be here due to a conflict, but he told me today he had written a concurrence letter for the project.
All right, Mr. Stevens, you got any questions?
Councilman Stevens, you may go ahead.
Yes. The first question is, what do the property owners that surround this proposed pump station feel about it? And the second one is, will Port Wentworth see any of the benefit of having a pump station there?
yes,
We haven't gotten any feedback from any adjacent property owners on the project, so I can't answer that question.
What about the money?
Sir?
Yes, would we get any?
Well,
Benefit.
unless council decides to waive their fees, then we'll receive the fees for the development.
No.
This is private property
yeah,
that
it's
it's on.
private property it's
Yeah.
on. It's not owned by the city.
For Councilman Stevens' information, it appears that this is in an undeveloped wooded area.
That is correct.
All right, anybody else got a question? All right, someone want to make a motion? Wait a minute, hold on. Anybody got any more questions? All right, this public hearing is now closed. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan review application 7097601-047 for Effingham Booster Club, Booster Pump specific.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Okay, item F.
Item F is the site plan review application 7-0037-02-007 for the pronunciation, McGallion Boulevard General. Did I say that right, Mr. Harvey?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, this public hearing is now open. Anyone here to speak for or against? Okay. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Phil?
Mr. Harvey, this went before Planning Commission?
Yes, it did.
And everyone is unanimous?
Unanimous.
Okay.
All right.
Without conditions.
Where is this located? Right there on that corner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Anybody got any questions? All right, this public hearing is now closed. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve site plan review application 7003702-007 Magnolian Boulevard.
I'll second.
Magnolian, or however you pronounce it.
Magellan.
I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Who made the second motion?
Mr. Hodges?
Thank you.
Okay, item G.
Item G is the application to amend the zoning map, PIN numbers 7-0906-01-028 and 039.
Okay, this public hearing is now open. Anyone here to speak for or against?
Yes, Your Honor. My name is Philip McCorkle, and I brought those worthless boards, but I will no longer bring. And I also have a pointer, which is worthless as well. So, so I can point to my board, so I won't bring that either.
You need somebody to hold your board for you?
No, I'm good. All the boards show, or everything they show are in your material. So I've really brought them in case somebody in the audience needed to see them, but I didn't realize you could do what you could do now. And I cannot learn how to do a zip drive, but I will bring somebody with me next time to help me with the zip drive. So I appreciate it. The property is adjacent to Effingham County, and the Effingham County Trade Center is right across the border. It's a 7 million square feet development. If you go past Port Wentworth up in Effingham County, you see the traffic light at the Trade Center Boulevard, and that's the entrance and will be the entrance to the entire development, including this one piece. 90% of it will be in Effingham County, this one building, 10% in Port Wentworth. The things you normally look at are traffic, sound, and vision. The traffic study is approved by Effingham County. We've got the traffic light there. The traffic is not an issue. It is, and I can tell you, Mr. Long did not raise any issues that I know of. There were no, I've never seen a development impact assessment that was done as thoroughly as the one that Thomas and Hutton did this time. It had a sound study and everything else you could possibly need. The next issue was sound, and we all know that warehouses make sound. They make about 75 decibels. In a normal sound ordinance, which like yours, you allow 55 decibels. The building will be almost 2 football fields away from the nearest residence in Rice Creek, which is 580 feet. But a lot of that ground is cleared. There's 295 feet of utility easements, and so sound can travel across cleared ground. And so my client is going to put a 100-foot wide buffer, and in that buffer, a 60-foot wide berm that goes 15 feet high. And of course, that kills the sound, which is, we've used that before in Port Wentworth, in the Crossgate property and other properties. And the sound study indicates that with that, the 55 decibels could be achieved at the berm, which is still 300 feet away from the houses. So no increase in sound that would annoy the neighbors. The last thing is vision. Again, the building's going to be 580 feet away, and because of the berm and the plantings on the berm, a 6-foot-high man standing in his backyard on the I can't remember the name of the street. Hasty Point Road is the closest street. A person standing in his backyard on that street will only see the top 10 feet of the building, and it's, again, 2 football fields away. So I think it's a well-planned application. which does consider the needs of the neighborhood that's closest. And also, we received gratefully a unanimous recommendation from Planning Commission with no conditions that would ask for approval. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Can I ask who your client is?
It's called Chesterfield. And Chance Ron is a principal who's here today, and Thomas and Hutton's the engineer. They're here as well.
That's the question.
Yeah, go ahead, Herschel.
Let me ask you about drainage. When you put that dike up there, how's that going to affect the drainage? Has that been taken into, because when you put that up, now you've got a drainage problem.
Well, we wouldn't be draining toward the homes anyway, but with the site plan, and as it comes with both the general and specific, as things move, we will have a drainage plan, and there are very large detention ponds that will hold the water. If you have any more specific questions, gentleman from Thomas and Hutton can answer, but that will be engineered for sure as we move along with the site plan.
Ron, all that been approved?
No, sir, this is just for the rezoning.
For rezoning?
Yes, sir, this is for the rezoning only.
All right. All right, anybody else got any questions? Mr. Stevens, you have any questions? Okay, this public hearing is now
The
closed.
man in yellow wants to.
You want to speak, sir? You got to come to the podium.
Quick question. So,
Your name and address, please.
Bobby Douglas, 220 Grant Road. What's your name again, sir?
Philip.
Mr. Phillip. So when y'all put that big retention pond in, so are y'all gonna get with mosquito control or whoever to monitor what if the insect population increase in that area, you know, because mosquitoes love water, and when we got this Nile virus and everything that mosquitoes carry, you got to take that into consideration too, because we got creeks, then we got more water being added in. So I figure not so cold around here, the mosquito population will get worse. You know, that's just a question I had, you know, because that's like a health thing right there.
We better not get too close. Sorry. That's the first time I've ever had that question asked. But Mr. Ron, I think, wanted to say something. He's the principal with Chesterfield about that issue.
Good evening. My name is Chance Rand, and I'm a Senior Vice President of Development for Chesterfield. This is a typical stormwater detention pond that every development has to build to maintain their pre-development runoff rates. No different than the ponds that are currently in Rice Creek. I believe there's an extension or an expansion of Rice Creek that is underway. They're going to be digging detention ponds as well. So it's no different than the ponds in the residential subdivision there at Rice Creek. And furthermore, you know, on our side of the power lines in Rice Creek, and then on the, I think it's east side, the property that Mr. Tom Exley owns, all of that swamp anyway. So there's already you know, wet areas you know, existing that we you know, that we can't control. And then some of the wet areas on our site, the uplands, you know, we're taking that water out. In other words, we're changing that use, and it's going to be developed. And so you know, actually, we're going to actually be reducing some of the existing low areas and water. So.
Question for you. Will the frontage of this business be on the north side of your building?
The frontage?
Yeah.
The access
where
will
your
be,
trucks would be coming in?
So the access to this building will, let me get my bearings. There we are.
Yeah.
Well, the access to this building will come from our existing parkway.
Right.
That is located in Effingham.
Right.
And so as Philip mentioned earlier, the entrance to the park is at the red light at Old Augusta Road in Effingham. So all access will come into our existing parking in Effingham and on our existing roadway network.
But the business of that warehouse or would be the north end of it? Or would it be?
So,
on each side.
So it's a cross-dock facility.
Okay.
The office could be on the front and rear. So you'll have an office storefront with glass and a nice entry feature. So there could be offices on both ends.
Okay.
And then of course you'll have operations on both sides of the building.
Right. All right, so that would be the east side, west side of your building, and then where the blue is on the back of that building, Rice Creek's behind that, right?
Rice Creek is here. So you have a 295-foot width power and gas easement, and then the 100-foot buffer with the berm, and so Rice Creek is on the other side, 300-400 feet.
Yeah, I knew it was important to keep the sound down, so that's why I suggested to clamp the berm, and that will keep the sound captured at the berm area as opposed to going across.
All right. Anybody else?
I have a question. The detention pond at the end of the facility there, yes. Behind that, is that Black Creek behind that pond?
Yes, sir, it is. This is Black Creek here, and that's some of the areas I was mentioning earlier where it's low and swampy and undevelopable. The topography, and it shows in the line of sight exhibit that's in your package, the topography actually falls to the north from the power lines. So this area here is higher than back here, so everything falls that way.
Have we had any need to go to the Corps of Engineers for permitting, any affectation to the wetlands or anything like that?
Very good question. So we have 4 different, I'm kind of getting into the details here a little bit, but we have 4 different wetland jurisdictional determinations for the 1,100 acres that we own. And we do have one, actually, that one permit covers this piece and covers a little triangle up here. So yes, we do. We have a current delineation, and there's no wetland impacts proposed as part of this project.
My only concern being as close to Black Creek as you are in that detention pond, if it were to overflow, the natural inclination would be go into Black Creek and then drain into the river. Is there any danger of that?
No, sir. So the purpose of the detention ponds is to release your stormwater at pre-development rates. And so through your stormwater ordinance, we have to maintain, for example, whatever water drains that way currently, pre-development, we have to release that same quantity, that same amount post-development. And so water already sheds that way. So it already goes that way. And so the detention ponds do 2 things. They address the quantity and they address quality. So we'll, through your ordinance, we address the quality as well. That water sits there, sediment settles out, and then when it reaches a certain height during a rain event, then it'll overflow.
Okay. And trash and what have you that collect in the pond, will it be collected before getting into Black Creek?
So you usually have an outfall structure. There's various different types of designs. Usually it's a concrete box with weirs in it. And you'll have screens over those weirs to protect and keep trash.
That is a direct access into the river?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Anyone else?
I got one quick question. That 15-foot berm that you're talking about,
yes, sir.
Is it going to be on the, I guess, the further side away from the residence? Because there's power.
It will be.
Power lines. So the berm is going to be on the other side.
Yes, sir. It'll be on our side of the power lines.
Okay.
So you'll have 300 feet between the residence and the toe of the berm, and then another 60 feet for the width of it. So you're, what, 360?
300-some feet. What are you going to do with the trees? That's there in front of that, all those big power lines, because right now it's a bunch of them.
On our side of the power lines?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, you'll have to take the trees out to put the berm in.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, as the mayor said, right in my backyard.
What square footage is that building?
Square footage?
Yes, sir.
Roughly 733,000 feet. So as Philip mentioned, it's about 10% of our overall project. We have about, whatever it is, 6.4, 6.5 in Effingham.
Anyone else? All right, this public hearing is now closed. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to amend the zoning map PIN number 7090601028039.
Get a all in favor?
Nay.
All right, Mr. Barbie said no. All right, motion passes. Okay, item H.
Application to amend the zoning map PIN number 7-0975-01-025 Wiggins.
All right, this public hearing is now open. Anyone here to speak for or against? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Lamar Mercer. I'm with Thomas & Hutton Engineering Company. I'm here tonight representing the owner, Mr. Gary Wiggin, who apologizes for not being able to be present tonight. He had a family emergency this week that pulled him out of the state. So I believe he is listening in and participating digitally tonight, though. So I'm here to try to address any questions you may have related to this application.
Anyone have any questions?
Where is this located at now?
It's along, I'm sorry, did you address her?
There's a question from the audience asking where exactly is this located.
Go ahead, sir. You tell her.
It's located along Highway 21 between Saucy and Jeffers Road.
And, who's your client?
Mr. Gary Wiggin.
Wiggins, okay. All right, anybody have any questions?
What is this for now?
Sir. Hold on, sir. You got to come to the podium if you want to speak. You want to speak? You want to speak, sir?
Bobby Douglas, 220 Grant Road again. This is for the rezoning of that, what it said, 18 acres and what it was, 18 and 26 or something like that on that sign that was up there for the land area.
It is. It's right there on Jeffers Road.
Yeah.
Right before you get to Saucy.
Right there between Saucy and Jeffers.
23.7 acres.
Okay. What's the purpose of the rezoning now? To go from what? Less residential and more commercial? This is what you're trying to do now? You're trying to get more residential and less commercial in that area, or what? That's all I came up here to find out what's the rezoning about.
Do I address him or y'all? How do you?
To the mic, please.
Sorry. The application before you tonight is to change and rezone the property from residential agricultural, which it currently allows residential uses, sorry, I should address you, to planned residential multifamily use. No commercial is anticipated as part of this rezoning.
Okay. Anyone else?
So it'd be more like, you're going to build like apartment complex or more upscale townhomes, or?
The plan in your package tonight is based upon the potential buyer Mr. Wiggin has that has it's more of an attached townhome type product. It's single and two-story.
Right.
That sounds nice.
And this is, just to be clear, with the plan that's in there is not specific to this site. It's just a representation of what could be performed generally and what the product they use. We will develop the site in accordance with your regulations as well as state and local, meaning detention ponds, things like that.
Correct. And the purpose of the question, we read that, we have that, but when you have people out here outside listening in, they would like to know, just like Mr. Douglas come up here to ask this question, and that's just what they want to know the purpose of it and what's going to be going there. Okay, I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, anybody else have any questions?
I just got one for you. The community housing project, if we get it rezoned tonight, the schematics that you submitted with your application, those are just some of the ideas that you have done previously?
That is a representation of what a potential buyer has done on previous projects. It was there to represent it, to give you an indication of what the product type would be.
I see what you're saying. That looks nice. I like that. Especially in
It's
the
a great
Central
product.
Park cluster.
I just had one question.
Go ahead, Wentworth.
So all of these are like, it's not like second and third and fourth stories. This is everything just one-story apartments. I mean, one-story houses, right?
The schematics included our representation of what that buyer could do on
Right,
this
but that's what I'm
property.
saying. It looks like to me, it's just,
Right,
one level,
right.
multiple homes or multiple apartments or whatever. I just want to make sure I read it right.
All right, anyone else? Okay, this public hearing is now closed.
Thank you.
Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for approval, please.
Get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Okay, resolution, ordinances, proclamations, item A.
Item A is the ordinance number 20-04 for the personal transportation and low-speed vehicles regarding to golf carts, first reading. The reason why the first reading is back on the agenda again tonight is because during the September meeting, Councilmember Glenn Jones made a motion to delay so that council could have a workshop to discuss further. And so tonight, if council would like to move forward, they can approve the first reading and the second reading.
All right, public hearing is now open. Anyone want to speak?
I got a question just to make sure, before we go any further. The golf carts, they are, supposed to be up to state specs, meaning, brake systems, only people with valid driver's license can operate them, and it can't be on state roads or state bridges, and they have to be able to go less than I think 35 miles an hour. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I've heard.
He was just talking about the qualifications for getting your golf cart registered, and yes, he was correct. The only thing is generally
1,375 pounds.
Generally, golf carts, Mark, are up to about 20 miles an hour. Although some people do hop them up and make them go a lot faster.
All right. And I guess one more question. This is citywide, right? Instead of just focus on the downtown area.
It's citywide.
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear.
Yes, it's citywide, Mark.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay. So there should be no golf carts on Bonnie Bridge since it is a state highway. Just wanted to make sure of that before we go forward.
That's correct. Bonnie Bridge is a state road.
Mr. Hodges?
Who was supposed to get us the information about the viaduct was designed for golf carts to go
This,
across?
if I may interject,
Okay.
I did, and DOT has okayed that. If you will notice, I have removed the viaduct exception that was originally in and added on page 7 where
Item 9.
yeah, item 9, section 8, subsection D, item 9. You can only use that viaduct on the western side. There's a larger sidewalk over on that side, which would accommodate golf carts.
So it was
Looks
designed
same
for
to
that
me.
when they redid the viaduct?
That's what they tell me.
Okay.
But the
Same.
eastern side was not.
Right,
So that would be, that's the river side.
right.
And that would be for bicycles, pedestrians, and even motorized wheelchairs, I suppose.
Only, I apologize for interrupting, but the only problem I have with that is And trust me, I rode over that viaduct with my golf cart more than a few times when it was the old bridge, and now it's even wider now. You only saying one side. What happens if I go up and then I'm meeting you coming from the other side and we together? Somebody got to go backwards.
Somebody got to go
Well,
back
it's gonna be the
down.
same on either side. That doesn't matter.
My point was, it was designed that way. The council at that time and the mayor asked for that to be designed that way, and that was the way it was designed. So now to allow golf carts to
Well,
go
that's what
across
I'm
that.
referring to. So what I'm
Right.
saying is, excuse me, if we allow going over one way and coming back the other way, it would be, to me, a better solution if we're gonna allow it than to have to go up. Because I guarantee if me and the mayor got our golf carts, we both ain't going side by side. Somebody's got to go backwards.
I agree.
And that would be even more unsafe. But I mean, that's just my recommendation. We could still use both. But I mean, if the city attorney has a reasoning for that, then we'd have to listen to
I
that.
can only tell you, Councilman, what DOT said. It was the western side was designed for golf carts.
And you ain't seen me back up.
And the eastern side was designed and built out for pedestrian traffic.
Well, I can tell you that I went and looked at it myself, and they look like they're the same size.
Now they're.
That was what was designed at the time.
Yeah.
The people asked for that at the time. So,
All right, anybody else got any more questions? Hey, I got a question about seatbelts.
What it
Is that a state
says,
law?
what it says is you must comply with state law for these golf carts. And on page 6, it says that you must have hip restraints and handhold. It doesn't say seat belts.
Okay,
It doesn't define what a hip restraint is.
okay.
So you can use your creativity.
Rope?
You can tie yourself a rope.
Generally, those are considered to be
That's the bar on the
plastic
outside.
handle that sits on the right and left-hand side of the wide seat.
That sounds good.
We need to know how to interpret it.
I don't know that there is
Everybody's
any
gonna be the same
interpretation.
way.
It just says hip restraints.
Because sometimes I put my arm around my wife, and that's a hip restraint, I guess. We just all need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
I've just pulled down
Especially
state
the police
law here. I'm
department.
not making
We don't
stuff
want, we don't
up.
want there to be in a gray area.
And that puts us right back in a gray area.
We don't need to put the police
What
department in
is
the
the
gray area.
legal definition of a hip restraint?
I mean, I know they have kits for these carts for,
Seatbelts.
brake lights and.
And they literally call that a hip belt, a hip
Yeah.
restraint. When you
Just
look it up,
about every vehicle, every golf cart that's built today has the heavy plastic side piece that fits on each side of the seat that lays up against your hip. And it really is to keep you from sliding left or right off
Yeah.
the seat. And I
That's
would
back
tell you
and front
that
seat.
That is probably a hip restraint.
I know that's not Georgia annotated, but if you pull up the golf cart, probably on the nomenclature, it probably says hip restraint on that bar.
Most likely.
Yeah. That's what
Like I
I'm
said, I
saying.
know that's not Georgia annotated law. I'm just saying on the nomenclature.
Yeah.
They don't want you moving laterally.
Yeah.
Okay? And falling out.
Some
of it.
people do
They
take them
turn
off.
short,
And that's
and
the
you're right, they
problem.
would throw you off if those hip weren't there. All right, anybody got any questions? Are
Well-
we gonna use seat belts, or are we gonna use the hip restraints?
Hip restraints better.
I still,
Georgia law requires hip restraints.
So not seatbelt, hip restraint.
That's not what it says.
That's not what law says.
So, can we get this picture?
I guess, Mr. Mayor, I still have,
determine it as this piece of plastic that stops you on your hip. We need to know that.
Mr. Mayor. I know I asked for it to be delayed and for some questions, I got some answers, but I'm still indecisive, and I still want to do a little bit more studying and working on a couple of other issues on there. And again, like I stated last month, I appreciate the city manager, city attorney, along with our public safety for doing a lot of this legwork for us. And then, but before we vote on this, I mean, I know we can vote, and I know it's going to pass. But for terms of discussion, and because I want to be perfectly satisfied on several issues, and I want our police department to fully understand where we're going to be on hip restraints versus seat belts, front seat, back seat, and get the word out. And I'd apologize to my fellow council that I did not. I talked to the city manager and I did a lot of legwork on it, but I'm not still fully satisfied with this, even though 97% of it I am. But for the no, I don't want to table it because we need to move forward for the first of the year, because I believe the mayor wants to have all this put in place by January the 1st, so it'll give our public enough time to understand where we're at so we can get some information out. But for the purposes of voting, I will vote nay, and hopefully it will pass the first reading, and we'll delay the second reading for the month of November, so we can come back. And if we want to make absolutely sure, as Major Sherrod said, we do not need to have any gray areas on this. We need to make sure if we're going on both sides of the viaduct, we need to make sure we have seat belts versus seat restraints. We need to make sure that all of our constituents in all of the city of Port Wentworth understand what they're supposed to be doing with their golf carts.
Well, when they get their permit, they'll get that too.
Yes, sir. So for the purpose, and just explaining my reason for, I hope someone does make a motion to pass, and I support this, but I'm going to vote no to delay the second reading until November, so we can make sure we have all our I's dotted and our T's crossed, so we can come back in November and vote for this, what I think is a good
Well, I hope in November that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and we're not talking about the same thing like we're doing tonight, you know.
Yes, ma'am, but just like Major Sherrod said, they don't need to have a gray area. They need to know exactly what we expect.
I understand that.
So we need to make sure, and if we're up here not sure, I promise you, Major Sherrod and his group is not going to be sure.
So let me you got the issue about the hip restraints, the issue about the viaduct.
No, the viaduct's cleared up.
I'm going by what Mr.
Yeah,
Jones.
and then I have a couple other issues that I will be working with the city attorney and the mayor. So I'm good.
Your main two issues is them two?
Yes. And
The other issues are, people are not going to be happy. You can't satisfy everybody in Port Wentworth when you pass something like this.
oh, trust me.
There's going to be people upset.
Trust me, I guarantee you that. I've heard that enough
For
times.
the public safety, you have to go forward with it. And hip restraints is seat belts. It's
Yes.
not no
Well, let me
plastic.
just show you all on tonight. I just did a little quick Google, and I know the audience won't be able to see this, but this is what is showing as a hip restraint.
That's right, all golf carts have those.
Yeah, what?
To reiterate what she's saying, hip restraint, if you put the verbiage hip restraint, that's the only requirement. I did the same thing she was doing.
But if you all
she
want
says
a
seat belt,
lap belt,
it's
it has
gotta
to be a
say lap.
belt.
Yeah, it
with
doesn't
no
say
proper
seat
belt.
belt.
Not say safety belts, lap belts, it says
I'll
hip
accept that.
restraint.
And handhold.
If you pass it with hip, that's what you get.
That's because they're
Just
low-speed
show-
vehicles,
It's literally the
and they don't want you thrown out. Well, all I want y'all to do is all agree on the same thing. So the police department will say, this is what the council said,
Yeah, we're satisfied.
and I want all the officers to know we're all on the same
If y'all
page.
say hip, we now know what hip is. I will print it out and give them the definition of it. If y'all say lap belt, I will give them
Show them
that.
a picture.
It will be clear.
I say,
But y'all have to
understand
decide
that.
whether it's the hip restraint or the belt.
Well, I think Springfield's is like we're just talking about.
All right.
I'm almost certain it is.
Question, whenever they come and get their permit, will there be a picture of that so you can show that this is required on the?
There'll be,
If we need to do it, that's gonna be,
there'll be a guide in the book.
that's gonna be
There'll be a guide.
stepping
I mean,
stone
that
for
might
us.
would help.
But if they ain't got a hip restraint, they ain't getting the permit.
Okay.
And we know what it looks like.
So you gonna go out?
Visibly see their cart before
Okay.
you
Yes,
give them
sir.
a permit.
They have to
Well, that's
bring the
good.
card.
Okay.
So when is this going to start?
January.
So we're going to start registering them in January. Registering them in January, the whole month of January. So we're going to start issuing warnings and fines in February.
Well, you got to start sometime, and
I
January's a
understand that.
good
I'm just
month.
trying. That's what we're trying to clarify.
Because every January, you'd have to renew your
Right.
permit anyway.
So that's what we have to get, and like Mark said, it's for the whole city, but I can promise you, probably 85% of them golf carts are in my district.
Yeah.
And
Not be able to, would not be able to qualify under this ordinance.
what did he say?
I don't know.
Councilman Stevens, would you restate that? They didn't quite understand what your statement was.
No, I was going off of what Glenn was saying. Is like a majority of the golf carts would not be able to qualify under this ordinance because they'll have to. Because let's face it, a lot of these golf carts are not exactly new, down there.
Yeah, they will have to get brake lights, turn signals, and a horn.
Yeah, and so.
And the ordinance also,
How much it would cost to get something like that
Gotta
added
get
onto a
insurance,
golf
too.
cart, but we're talking about.
And insurance.
I mean, the majority of the citizens down there are not, don't necessarily have all the.
there is a requirement,
Get all the money that they need. I mean, some of them are on fixed income. Some of them are exactly on fixed incomes.
there is a requirement, Councilman,
Instead of rushing this through, let's take another step back.
Yeah, he can.
And let's dot the i's, cross the t's, and make sure everybody understands exactly where we're going with this. Because we only have one chance to get this right. And instead of just trying to rush it through, willy-nilly,
It hadn't been
let's
rushed.
just make sure that the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed.
All right. I do agree with Mr. Jones on the golf cart, going across the paddock. We need some way for someone to know that one's coming one way and one's coming the other. I don't have the solution, but I do agree with you on that. But it is accessible to use through the paddock, and that was my whole point.
Yeah, I'm
It was
good.
designed that way, but there should be some way that I know someone's coming one way and I'm coming the other. How we do that, I don't know yet. So maybe we should do our first reading tonight and improve that and take time to look at the second reading, but we come up with some kind of.
And I'm actually,
For safety, that's the first safety.
and I guess the biggest thing is also and if we can vote on this, if we do the first reading tonight and next reading will be in November, then that also allows us to sit down and get a timeline. Okay, if we're going to, in January, we're going to start registering them, and then you're going to have a timeline of 1 month to bring your golf cart in there to get them registered, to get them checked out. And then, because anyone who knows I'm going to be on top notch with safety, and we want Chief Libby and his group to understand where they can and what they can't do. So if we have someone who does not come in and register, we just need a timeline and give them dates. At the end of January.
January 31st.
There you go.
So make a motion, and then we can do.
Make a motion, are we ready,
Hold on a minute.
Your Honor?
Anyone else got any questions?
a comment, let me respond to a comment that Councilman Jones made about bringing golf carts in. There's no certification process or examination process in this ordinance, which requires someone to produce their golf cart for inspection. Mm-hmm. When you come in to register that golf cart, you will sign a certification saying that you are in compliance with Georgia law and this ordinance.
Basically what he's saying is an affidavit sort of kind of thing, document that we will have. But if they have questions and they want to bring it, we can say, yes, you are, or no, you're not. But we're not just gonna, we're either gonna have a certified affidavit like he's saying, or somebody will look at it. We are still working that out, knowing that we're gonna do it.
And it's very clear in the ordinance, this is what is required. You got to have headlamps, you got to have hip restraints, you got to have brakes, and et cetera.
Document on my desk that I'll give you. It's, I borrowed it from another city, and it's a little inspection sheet and sign-off sheet.
And it lets them They're swearing or affirming they did.
That sheet you have, they could actually pick up the phone and call y'all and have an officer come out and do it out there at their residence. They ain't got to take the golf cart anywhere.
We're good. So let's just be clear, we're not doing anything till January anyway, so if we do the first reading tonight, second reading in November, we're gonna be able to get everything lined out and be ready to go in January the 1st, start registering vehicles, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's good.
All right. This public hearing is now, you got something, Mr. Barber?
Oh, no, I was saying Linda, go ahead with her motion.
Okay, hold on. This public hearing is now closed. Can I have a motion?
All right, I make a motion for ordinance number 20-04, personal transportation and low-speed vehicles, first reading to be approved.
Get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I vote,
One nay.
I vote nay, so we can have the second reading in November.
Okay, the motion still passes.
Yes.
That was by Glenn Jones.
First reading, the second reading, we will not do that tonight. And before we adjourn for executive session, I was supposed to tell y'all earlier that tomorrow night is movie night over at the Stand Up for America Field. And it's going to start at dark 30. And that four-wheeler will be given away tomorrow night to some lucky person.
Tonight, because we have this item B on the agenda, there needs to be a motion to delay and a second.
All right. Someone like to make a motion to delay?
Do it if you don't have you don't have to do that if you don't have a unanimous vote.
Yeah.
It just automatically reverts to the
Yeah,
next.
you have to have a unanimous to move for the second.
Okay. All right. I need someone, okay, we're going to adjourn this executive session. I'll get a motion.
I make the motion that we go into executive session.
No, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Is Councilman Stevens coming there with us? Okay. Not sure how that works, but.
All righty. Mr. Barbie, go ahead.
That we reconvene regular council session.
All in favor? Okay.
Registered speakers?
Do we have any speakers, Shanta?
None online?
No, sir.
Well, oh.
Okay. I get a motion to adjourn. Oh,
I make a motion that we,
Thank council for this, never been recognized,
Oh,
so.
well, you
never.
deserve it, Mr. You deserve it, Mr. Chair. All right, can we get a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
I
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Aye.
You see, I brought my high-tech BlackBerry with me. Mr. Phil, you see, I brought my high-tech BlackBerry.
I have one of those too.
Mr. McCorkle had one of them. It's called Chart. What you gonna do with